Welcome to Season 3 of Unapologetically Woman. We've been celebrating phenomenal women all across Kentucky who make no apologies for their perspectives or the impacts that they're making in the community. Today we're celebrating Jeana Klevene. Jeana is a wife, a dog mom, a former dancer and choreographer, and she's a director and founder of Allegro Dance Project. Unapologetically Woman, Jeana Klevene, that's you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored.
Oh, so happy to have you here. Tell us everything we need to know about Allegro.
Sure. Well, I'm going to start at the very beginning, if that's okay.
Yes.
So, as you mentioned, I'm a former professional ballet dancer, and growing up, starting ballet at age 3, I always kind of noticed how exclusive the art of dance was, especially classical ballet. Not only
exclusive, what do you mean?
Really in all ways, if you think about it. Ballet is very exclusive as far as body type, and historically up until just very recently, based on skin color, based on height and weight and what you look like, and if you can afford it, because dance is very expensive to take traditional lessons. And I think I was probably in elementary school when already that became apparent to me, and that idea just kind of grew and grew of how that really bothered me even as a student. And then when I transitioned from performing into becoming a teacher, that really felt like something that I was called to change. And I didn't know how until there was a young man that took an open ballet class of mine, and he had autism, and just seeing what dance could do for everybody, I just knew that I had to get this going. And so that's really the starting point from Allegro Dance Project. And maybe not a lot of people know that it really started with one young man taking a class where I could see it in action and just see what it could become. And the first year when we became a nonprofit, we worked with maybe around 50 children, and I thought that was a lot at the time. Fast forward to now we're in season 9, and I think we'll probably work with over 700 children this year.
And so regardless of body type, regardless of gender and any of those other things, race, ethnicity, is everybody welcome at Allegro?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up gender too, because that's a new thing that's becoming more and more relevant and talked about in the world of dance, and really all around, which I think is exciting and important. Our main objective was to reach children that have disabilities or some kind of specific need. So we work with a lot of children that have Down syndrome or autism spectrum disorder, or even if they just have a behavioral or a learning disability. But really, we just want to be as welcoming and inclusive as possible.
And so when you think about children that have different abilities, what does dance do for them?
Oh gosh, I wish I could somehow take you into a session to really see that in action. But if you think about all the ways we communicate and all the ways we show joy and personally express ourselves, that all can be accomplished through dance, even if you're nonverbal or you communicate differently, or
because dance is communication for sure.
Yeah, it's so communicative, and we've kind of taken that a step further, especially after the pandemic. We noticed a lot of the students we worked with had kind of socially regressed. I think really we all have after
Amen to that.
After being so isolated and having to communicate in such different ways. So we've really tried to put more of an emphasis on that, because that's another consideration that you don't think about, that if you're nonverbal and you're in a small, moderate to severe disability classroom with only 8 other students, you don't have that network of friends that you can just pick up a phone and call or text. So it can be a really isolating experience. So we really try and put more ways to communicate in our sessions after the pandemic, and it's been really fun to see all the kids not only connect with each other but find their voice, however that may be.
Well, and not just with the kids, but what I would think you would also see a transformation in the parents, because when good things happen for your kids, you feel that.
Definitely. And even we offer weekly classes in more of a traditional studio setting, and it's always so sweet because I'm normally so focused on what's happening in the classroom, but every so often I peek into the hallway and just to see the parents have that network and group of friends that, they become close very quickly, just, having that community that so many of us crave, whether it be, personally activities you're interested in or things that your kids might be into, just to have that sense of community of people who really get you and appreciate you.
And so, outside of all of that, you've been doing this for a long time. So, your repertoire is woof. Tell us about that.
Well, as I said, I started dancing at a really young age. I started when I was 3. I grew up in Wisconsin, and
how did you get to Lexington from Wisconsin?
I drove. No, I'm just kidding.
Got in the car and drove.
I mean, cheeky. Yeah, no. I studied at a bunch of different summer intensives. I was honored to get to go to American Ballet Theater for 3 summers and auditioned for companies in my senior year of high school. And Lexington Ballet at the time was the winner, and that's what brought me to Lexington. I danced with the old Lexington Ballet Company back when I was just 18 years old, and then unfortunately 9/11 happened. Unfortunate for so many reasons, but very big impact on the arts, and moved back to Wisconsin for a time, and then eventually I really loved Lexington and moved back to be a teacher, and I'm honored to say that this is where I was able to start Allegro.
And you are a big choreographer too. How do you dream up all of these things in your mind to make all of the things that are happening happen?
It's funny that you say dream them up. A lot of times it's right before I fall asleep. I'll be laying in my bed, be like, hey, I wonder if this is possible. So a lot of times it happens right before I fall asleep. Sometimes it happens in the moment, which is really fun when it can just happen in the moment with the dancers in the studio and just,
That's spontaneous.
Yeah, like spontaneously trying things out. We really try and pick subject matter that is relevant and important. That's one reason why I was really drawn to contemporary dance. Well, I love ballet. I just knew when I was creating work that I didn't want it to be about princes and princesses and fairy tales. I wanted it to be about really a topic that anyone could engage with and be moved by. And so we've done subject matter such as the opioid epidemic. We've done things about the Me Too movement. We've just more recently done something about gun violence, and the show we're working on, reprising right now, is all about mental health. So it's really like subject matter that I feel is important to talk about really inspires me to turn all of that research and ideas and feelings into something that maybe could make someone feel something or make someone want to talk about it or feel comfortable talking about it.
I think that it's pretty amazing and courageous that you can take what's happening in real time in the community and then transform that into a beautiful piece, for people to appreciate. I think that's incredible.
Thank you. We really try and honor what's happening. Again, just because some of these things people don't feel comfortable talking about. It's hard to talk about gun violence, but if maybe you see it in a way that is also beautiful but moves you, maybe you'd feel comfortable. Same with mental health. Again, after the pandemic and everything that's happened since, I feel like it's something that we need to be talking about, and especially with youth, which is why we're so excited to do this with a group of children, where sometimes people say, like, well, is this really appropriate to talk about with kids? Absolutely. Like, we have to.
Because this is what's happening in the community around us.
Yes. We're losing so many children and teenagers and young adults to mental health crisis. And I think if we can, again, make it accessible in a way that they can see it, not just be told about it or read about it, like actually see it on stage and be like, oh, it's okay to talk about this and it's okay to have these feelings.
Well, I think it's incredible that you say that because, with the internet, we have access to things all across the world. But it is not the same sitting at a computer and looking at a place that you can't even dream of and actually being in that space. I think that there's a huge difference there, on what your takeaway can be, because you can't smell the air, you can't breathe in the aura of wherever it is, or the event and what's going on, without experiencing it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. That's why we try and make it as accessible as possible. We're about to do some sensory-friendly school shows, and we're offering those for free so that there's no obstacle of
Tell us
cost.
about those shows.
Yeah. So,
Okay, so they're going to be free, so
Yeah.
there's no reason not to go.
well, there is a reason not to go in that they're full, which
they're
is
full.
wonderful.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, which is wonderful. But again, like we think about making things accessible and inclusive, but if you have a sensory processing like sensitivity or issue, to sit in a dark theater with people you don't know and be expected to sit still for a long time and there's loud music, that can be really overwhelming. And so we wanted to not only give performance opportunities for our participants to be on stage, but also feel comfortable to enjoy a show. So
What kind of accommodations do you guys make in that, to meet that scenario?
yeah, it's a little softer music. The house lights don't go completely dark. There's a movement break. There's the expectation that if you need to take a time out, you can step away, go to the lobby. It's just, again, just a way to be more welcoming, because the arts don't have to be just for the rich, just for the thin, just for people of a certain race or ability. They're for everyone. And we just keep continuing to find ways that maybe people have felt excluded. And anytime we find that way, we want to try and make it where it's no longer an issue.
So, you have a new family member named Wednesday. Tell us all about that.
We do. We call her Baby Bat. She
Okay,
has
why? There's
giant
gotta be a
ears.
story.
Yes. She looks like a bat. She's adorable. But if you can see, I have a big scratch on my chin from said adorable sweet puppy because she's a little wild.
How old?
We're not exactly sure. We adopted her from the pit bull rescue here in Lexington, and I think she's maybe around 8 months, a little younger.
Oh, she's still
6 to
a
8
puppy.
months. Oh, she's still a puppy, yeah.
Oh, yes. You're going to have more scratches than that.
Oh, yes.
So, outside of Wednesday or Baby Bat, you like to explore.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Oh, my husband and I love Red River Gorge. That's kind of our happy place.
Isn't that a beautiful place?
We love it. We love to go hike. If there's a waterfall, I'm going to want to go see it.
Good for you.
Love to get outside.
How often do you guys get the opportunity to explore?
Really as often as we can. Probably not this month because it's a real busy month, but typically we like to go maybe once a month. Get
To
a
go
good
out there?
hike in. Yeah, spend the weekend.
Spend some time together, get
Yeah.
outside and do some great things with each other. That's great.
Definitely.
So before we leave, I always ask the women, if you have young girls or young women who are looking at you today and they think, gosh, I really would like to be like her, what kind of advice would you give them?
Wow, that's a really big and important question. I think I would just say, stay true to who you are. That if there's something you're really passionate about and something you really want to do, and it feels like there's an obstacle in your way, change it. Like, get rid of that obstacle. I just think that Allegro and working with all these children has taught me so much that things that we feel are out of reach or out of grasp or not accessible, that's not true. Like, we make them to feel that way, and I would love to encourage more people to think and dream in inclusive and accessible ways. And just, I know it sounds kind of not cheesy, but to just follow your dreams, that we have these dreams and these callings for a reason.
Thank you so much. I have enjoyed being with you today.
Thank you.
Continue to watch as we celebrate other phenomenal women who are doing outstanding work in the community. I'll talk to you all soon.